Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Zelda Speedruns for our continuing coverage of the Link to the Past Crossworld Keysanity tournament. Tonight's match we have for you P-Train, number 9 seed, versus Dracarys, number 1. Joined on comms tonight by Recitador and Norinato. How are you two doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. We're looking forward to a good race. These two runners are both pretty strong.
Same here.
Alright, I will take my leave. You two enjoy yourselves.
Alright, so we should be starting pretty soon. Let's see which opening these runners prefer. We have a few different ones. The Houlihan to the Witch's the hit Witch's Hut and the Houlihan. The castle opening for a tree pool. Some people just start at Sanctuary and start going to whatever entrances are nearby. Let's see what these guys want to do.
Yep, and it looks like they're off.
All right, so we got a house and a Sank start, and both getting compasses, so no joy there. We're going to get a fake flipper and Houlihan from Dracarys, and P-Train's actually going to be able to Houlihan for free because he's not going to need a fake flipper. You do have a 1 in 8 chance of Sanctuary being up there and making the fake flipper from the house be a waste of time, but you never can tell if that's going to be the case. So sometimes you usually just go for it anyway, and just regret it when you get up. Well, looks like we've had one entrance of Turtle Rock at the Witch's Hut. There is technically one chest in Logic right away in the Chain Chomp room in that entrance, but of course they don't have any resources to deal with. Looks like our first tree pool was magic, so that's not super exciting, but it could come handy if they get a magic weapon. And we've got the Kakariko Well in the castle drop, so P-Train's probably hoping to get some bombs here from one of these.
Yep, and it looks like Dracarys is going to do the Houlihan as well. Get some cash.
Alright, so P-Train not getting any bombs is actually going to not go into the well for right now, which is interesting because there is a 4 chances of you getting bombs there, but that's understandable. We'll see what Dracarys does when he gets up there. Looks like P-Train's going to head towards town. He's going to hit these 50-50 bomb bushes on his way. There are 2 here south of the Grove. And probably at least pick up 1 or 2 bombs in case he runs into anything down there. Oh, we've got Sick Kid, but no bottle, so we're going to have to come back to that later. See if Dracarys is going to go for these 4 items that he can get. No bomb drop for him either. I think he's going to keep farming the guards though. Meanwhile, we found a dark entrance in the bottom of Kakariko. However, we don't have any means of determining what's in there right now other than potentially dropping down and getting stuck with no equipment to make it through. So we're going to come back to that later. We also find hair on P-Train's end.
At the front of the inn?
Yep. There are 2 items you can get right away there if you can turn the crystal switches, which he can, but he doesn't have enough bombs to get both items if the one in the basement is anything good.
Ooh, glove and cack well. And unfortunately, he's not going to be able to find the item, check the item in the back. No bombs.
Yeah, you will have to revisit that, but I think that glove's pretty worth having.
Oh, absolutely.
Alright, Dracarys understandably making his way to Kakariko as well. He will have the advantage of being able to go north and check the glove spots after he gets out of here. Oh, looks like we got a fire rod as one of the 2 free items in Kakariko. Alright, we've got a connector in the Sick Kid's house, the East Death Mountain Ferry connector.
Oh. And I wonder if, deciding not to buy bombs in the bomb shop.
He does have 2, and there's a possibility that he will run into some here in Kakariko. So I kind of understand holding off and not wasting the 2 that he already had. We got a small Gans Tower key there. That's not going to help us too much, right? He may go ahead and buy one now, or buy them now, since he wasted one, or he's down to just 1. Just trying to maximize his bombs. Dracarys is actually going to go for this here, but if he's got a good item in this cage down here, he's not going to be able to get the item in the back.
In
So,
Meyer's
yeah.
shed. Holding a small key for Hyrule Castle and $20.
Yeah, the Hyrule Castle key is mostly a good for routing, or not for routing, good for letting you know that whatever's in the castle is in logic when you find it. Doesn't actually help you in any other way, at least in the case of the this seed, since the backup escape is free to get. So Dracarys should be able to get both items in here, since he has a bunch of bombs as well as this fire rod. So, oh, sorry, P-Train I meant, but Dracarys is actually coming right back in. Pretty nice hint about Ice Palace Big Chest being useless today. Yeah, runners having a little bit of sync there, although P-Train's done a little bit more in Kakariko, so it won't last too.
Ooh, bow. Bow on Bottle Vendor. That's a very nice find.
Yep, demonstrating why it can be kind of bad to not have rupees when you get to Kakariko, because you could end up leaving a good item behind.
And it looks like the Smiths were at the West Snitch's house.
Yeah, it's a pretty convenient place for them, at least.
Yep.
Well, assuming that you take them with the mirror.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and Hype Cave.
Alright, so this is 5 items we can get right away. Magic Cape, which could be useful if we find Laser Bridge or the Bumper Cave connector, something like that. Palace of Darkness Key, which will get us 2 items if we find Palace of Darkness. Well, which we already, with that bow, can get another 2 out of there, so I wouldn't really be surprised to see Palace of Darkness soon.
Yeah. And P-Train also found a bottle. So if he does find Sick Kid, that's a potential item, although Sick Kid usually has cash or a piece of his heart.
We actually did see Sick Kid already on the way into town, so they do know where he is. Matter of fact, it looks like P-Train's going there right now. We found a way into desert as well, which is 1 item they could get and 1 item they could scout. But P-Train did not go for that yet. There is a school of thought that you should try to wait for either the big key or the small key, so you have more incentive to go in there. However, that 1 chest doesn't require anything to get it that you can get. So it is possible to have a pretty high value item in there.
Oh, and Sick Kid just had $20.
Dracarys also noping out of desert for now. They may check all the entrances and then dive into desert, or at least on P-Train side, because he doesn't have those gloves. But interestingly enough, he's actually going to check this other connector. Gets spit out on laser bridge. That's not going to do him any good without the mirror right now, so we're going to start over somewhere. Oh, actually, yeah, he hasn't gone to the Kakariko well yet, so he'll get his glove here, and we will get to see what Dracarys left behind up here. Although I expect Dracarys not to leave it behind for a huge amount. Dracarys, meanwhile, getting all the good stuff out of here in Kakariko, and will probably continue north since he does have the gloves. Oh, we got a big key to Thieves Town. That's probably going to turn out to be important, but I would definitely expect Dracarys to be back here at some point in the near future. Oh, speaking of Bumper Cave, there it is. So that's a use for the cape if we want to start checking connect. And Dracarys showing off a little bit of 50-50 knowledge, bomb rock knowledge there, picking up a bomb on his way out of camp.
Oh, an Agate Tower at what I call the Light World Hype Cave. Oh, I believe it's generally a fairy cave.
Yes, it usually is. We do have a castle tower key already, so if Lamp shows up, that could be interesting. And we have an ice rod in the lumberjack drop in the Lost Woods. So we already have both rods. And no, we don't have any keys for Turtle Rock yet, but both rods this early is interesting. We did find a super free moon pearl in the dam here next to Link's house, though, so that's going to make connectors look a little more attractive for these guys. Interestingly, we have 2 pieces of Dark World access already. We only need one more for them to have the traditional Dark World access, either Mitts or Alright, so the other entrance near Link's house not being anything, the gambling den in the Lost Woods also being nothing. And P-Train is going to continue to the eastern area. There's 4 more entrances over here he can explore. And meanwhile, we have the thief at the lumberjack with a sword that we will never see him for the rest of the game, I'm sure. No butter sword for these guys today. Or at least it's extremely unlikely. Have another bottle here in the brewery, which is in the lumberjack hut. And a free red potion, which is pretty nice.
P-Train finding the chess game at the Fluke 5 spot, but nothing of value there.
Yep, and Dracarys will be able to get into whatever this drop is here, so if it's an item, he has access to that already. No, but it's just the uncle, so he can walk in, which... Does that mean Vanilla Ganon? I don't think we've seen Ganon, have we?
I thought I might have seen it at the Cack Well.
Maybe. I think I may have missed what was in the well.
Oh, and P-Train just found Swamp proper.
Okay, so
at Eastern Palace.
So what are we missing then for drops? Did we see the magic bat?
I don't think we saw where the bat actually was. Just he wasn't vanilla.
In that case, that's probably what's above Aghanim's tower, or Ganon's tower. Looks like we have found Hyrule Castle here. We do have the small key, so everything in here is in. Meanwhile, Dracarys checking out the back of the sewers. Just gets a small Skullwoods key, which is handy for routing and not much else. It's not actually hard required for the most part. And Dracarys is going to use his fire rod to light the way here to go check this chest in the back. So Bo making the escape sequence pretty easy. Not getting too much out of it so far. We do have one more chest down here. So we also have a couple of connector entrances out of here that P-Train may elect to check once he's done getting the items, since he does have the Moon Pearl, so that's a pretty big incentive to actually go after exits.
Just $20 in Zelda cell.
Looks like we're going to save and quit instead of checking the connectors just yet. I guess he's going to go ahead and check the sewers here. Dracarys, meanwhile, finding the dam, finding his Moon Pearl. May also continue on to the eastern area to clear out all that. So they do have a few other options before they start diving into connectors to go to the Dark World as well. They have a glove, so they can clear pretty much all the entrances in the Light World, going south to the South Shore. So that may be something they intend to do. It's a long walk, so they may try to hide or hold off for a little bit and see if they can find a way to combo it with something else. But it is an option for them since they have the glove. They won't have to orphan any entrances that they would normally have to orphan. Interestingly enough, that we do have the bow and the big key to Eastern Palace. We don't have a lamp, but Eastern could in fact be full clearable when we find it, assuming that you can manage the one dark room in the back that's kind of a little annoying. Single dipping Eastern Palace is not something you get to do super often in Cross Keys, so that'll be a nice thing to. Alright, so P-Train checking these two glove entrances over here, and then we will see where he wants to go. He has some connector options. He could also keep exploring the entrances in the light world. Oh, I found the bomb. The crabs are dropping bombs. I don't know if anybody checked that before. That's a very nice drop for the bush crabs. It means you will never end up having to run out of bombs.
And I just realized neither runner was able to check that hint in Swamp Palace because it had been flooded prior to their going in there. And neither one has flippers.
Yeah, a little inconvenient, but it could just be a junk hint.
Mm-hmm.
P-Train about to get the news that he will probably not be getting the Butter Sword today. And Dracarys going after the items in escape. We will see if he wants to check the exits after he gets done here. He has the same option of possibly going South Shore and checking all the entrances over there. So far, given the amount of connectors they've got, they probably have access to a fair amount of the world. We just don't know where all the connectors go just yet. Dracarys has run out of arrows, so he's going to have to switch to some bomb strats here. Only needs to use 2 here, though. He can use pots on the ball and chain. Alright, so P-Train is going to check this drop and get the ice rod, and then we'll see where he wants to go from here. Dracarys does not appear to be setting up for a death warp, so he may not be checking the entrances here either. Oh, nope, he just wasn't setting it up, but he is going to take the somewhat long death warp, given the half a heart of damage that the guard does here. But that means we'll get a peek at where one of these, at least one of these exits goes. Meanwhile, it looks like P-Train is... No, he has this one entrance he hasn't checked yet. He does have the cape, though, and is electing to rethink his decision not to go through there because he was like, oh, I have the cape, I can go through. Looks like one side of Hyrule Castle. I didn't see whether it was the right or the left. Lets out on West Death Mountain out of Ganon's Tower, and gives us the hint that the Light World bumper ledge is a connector. He's got 2 entrances you can check over here. Meanwhile, I actually did not see where the bumper cave came out. Where did that?
I believe it was a Hookshot Cave.
Oh, so they're both on Dark Death Mountain?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so all roads lead to Dark Death Mountain today, so maybe a mirror's incoming. Meanwhile, it looks like we got Mitts off of the West Dark Mountain. Sanctuary is at the ferry drop. All right, so it looks like the Dracarys was put off on the more profitable side of Death Mountain. Mit's actually giving them more traditional Dark World access as well, so pretty nice. Although they don't have a good spawn point to get to Kakariko Village to use those.
And Mini Moldorm Cave just leading to a shop today.
Yeah, it looks like we're getting South Shore from both these guys now.
Yeah,
they do have a lot of connectors that are kind of far away, so blazing new territory, not out of the pretty understandable for them. Speaking of blazing new territory, it looks like since we have a fire rod, P-Train is planning on at least checking out the first chest of Ice Palace. I doubt he's going to go much further because he does not have a lot of resources, but we'll see.
And no hammer.
Yeah, he could get 4 items here if he could make it far enough, but I don't know that he's going to want to invest that time. But it's not too bad to get to this one chest. And if you know the bomb strats for this room, it's pretty fast and easy. And it looks like he's at least semi-aware of them. Yep. Not quite the way to get all of them. There is a way to get all of them in the first explosions, but did pretty good there. Gets a big key to Turtle Rock. Well, I guess he is going to keep going because he did get a full magic drop.
And Dracarys did find what actually was inside King's Tomb, and it was just 3 bombs. So
this is an interesting... Oh, no, he's coming back out. Okay, nope. I guess he just didn't want to death. Turtle Rock Big Key is nice to have, given that he already has both rods, but it's an interesting dive that you don't see people go for too often. Meanwhile, Dracarys is fake flippering here. Speaking of the big key of Turtle Rock, we do have the access to the big chest here. However, If he gets the Zora item, he's not going to be able to check that, and vice versa. If he were to check that, he wouldn't be able to get the Zora item based on how fake flippering works. Once he gets the Zora item, he gets put back in his fake flipper and is swimming and can't get out of it. And if he takes any damage inside a Turtle Rock, he won't be able to get out of the waterfall. Of course, theoretically, he could have not collected that item and then walked all the way back out, but that's a pretty big time investment. So we found a bomb restock hut over here on the South Shore, and I think that was about all we found of any real interest.
Ice Ride. Oh, not Ice Ride. King's Tomb was also there in the right-hand cave.
Yeah, P-Train being low on bombs, I think the only thing he's really going to care about over here was that bomb restocker.
And he's getting 3 more.
So Dracarys is back in town, checking Sick Kid because he got that bottle, or 2 of them really. And then he has the option of checking connectors or using the mitts to just go straight into the Village of Outcasts, which seems like the more likely choice for. P-Train, meanwhile, will also do a little bit of fake flippering. Tries to do a bomb setup, it looks like, but threw the bomb a little late there. Gets it really easily doing the traditional setup, though. Dracarys... Did Dracarys check Hobo? I don't think he checked Hobo.
No, I don't believe he did.
Yep, and Dracarys is just going straight into the Dark World with the mitts, including going right into Turtle Rock Skullwoods. Can get 5 items out of here, or 4 actually, because one of them is a small key. No, wait, no, it's 6 in the front, so yeah, 5.
Yep. And Hobo today just having $20.
Oh wait, no, it's 4 because he doesn't have the big key. That's right. Okay, I knew I was off there somewhere. Now, this room can be a little obnoxious with no equipment, but he's doing a pretty good job of leading the mummies. P-Train also gonna find the Turtle Rock big chest. We'll probably just go get the Zora item instead of dealing. Oh, nope, he's got the big key, so he's going to go for this, but he's not going to be able to get Zora's item now. But he may find something in here to make it all worthwhile.
And Dracarys finding the small key for Thieves Town.
So this is going to be a sequence break getting to this item right now. Does nice on that bomb jump. Gets the big key to Ice Palace, so that is a forced double dip of Ice Palace, at least for the big key. That's pretty hilarious.
Oh, remember we got the hint about the big chest in Ice Palace holding a compass.
Yeah, but you know, logically, if you have to kill Coldstare, the game will expect you to get that key. So logically, it expects you to double dip Ice Palace. Practically, we may still be able to avoid it. Now, P-Train can bomb jump in here and get a couple of other items. We'll see if he wants to do that. Yeah, he's going to go ahead. Or he could just check. Well, we already know where this goes, but he doesn't, I don't think, so he may check it. Meanwhile, Dracarys found Paradox Cave in... Where did he find this at?
I was watching P-Train, so I missed it. Ooh, the mirror.
It's either in the back of Skullwoods or somewhere right outside of Skullwoods. But yeah, that's a pretty nice find to start with.
Ooh, Samaria.
Okay, so Paradox Cave, pretty nice today.
Yeah. He also found a small key to Ganon's Tower as well.
Does have the cane and the fire rod, and I think those are both actually in logic, so that lets him get into the 4 items on the right side logically, and he could just skip ahead to the rest of it, by the big chest as well, although logically you would require a 3rd small key to get that.
And P-Train also found a small key to pod.
Ooh, taking a death to the chain chomps. That was unintentional. We'll see if he goes back for this item, because this is the one item that is in logic, but he's not going to go for it. And now he's stuck, but I think he forgot that if you take damage, you're stuck. Okay, going back in. He may be checking the exit, although we know it's the witch's hut.
Oh, and a big key in Spectacle Rock.
Yeah, I definitely missed exactly how Dracarys got to where he is, but let's see where this comes. Well, he's still in the same neighborhood, and he has a mirror, and now he has a reason to go into Desert Palace, because yeah, just got the small key. Finds the connector that we got a hint about. And is still in the same neighborhood.
And just a piece of heart in the chain chomp room.
So he took a bit of a twisted path there and ended up essentially in the same area that he was already in, so that's not bad. A lot of times if you go through a series of connectors, you end up in a completely different place and get a little bit off of the path that you were on. And he has the mirror to finish the southern part of the area over here. There's a couple entrances and an item he can grab at the south of Village of Outcasts here. Gets Bombos as well. We don't know if we need that yet, but we'll see if we even need to get into either Mire or Turtle Rock entrance. P-Train, meanwhile, looks like he's gonna go south and go to the desert area. There's 3 entrances over this way he could. Alright, I guess Dracarys had scouted the race game item, which wasn't anything, I suppose, because he didn't go for it. P-Train getting a hint that we don't need to do the Firelock side of Mire today. And finding the other side of Hyrule Castle that we have yet to see. I swear, the number of times I've seen the big key to Skull Woods down here at the digging game, where you're already where you've already been near Skull Woods, is ridiculous.
Yep. And also that was also, I think, about 20 digs as well.
And with the mirror and the mitts in hand, Dracarys is going to be able to drop the smith off very easily here, which will open the purple chest for him if he's so inclined, although that's a little more obnoxious to do. And P-Train, meanwhile, going to end up on the side of Death Mountain that had the mitts, so we'll see if he, he should grab them. He doesn't have any reason not to explore once he gets up there. Well, actually, he's going for the item back here, but hopefully he death warps when he's done.
And today the smith's only having 3 bombs.
Alright, looks like Dracarys is going to grab the purple chest. Alright, P-Train is setting up for Death Warp, so he should end up on Death Mountain on the other side, coming out of Ganon's Tower here pretty shortly, and that should lead him to get his mitts, which will give him the same traditional Dark World access that Dracarys has.
Oh, and today Cave 45 is Ice Rod Cave.
Alright, P-Train's already done the other side, so he's going to drop down here and see what we got going on here. I believe this was that pretty much all he got was the mitts, and I don't remember if this hint was worth anything. Oh yeah, it's the one that tells us about the connector, but we don't know, but it doesn't tell you which connector, obviously, so it's still kind of a question.
And Stumpy today just having 3 bombs.
Alright, and there's mitts for P-Train. Now, interestingly enough, with that mirror, Dracarys knows of at least one way to get to the mountain, so he may end up there soon. Once he gets done taking this purple chest around. P-Train is looks like he's going to Kakariko. He also knows a way up to the, well, he doesn't have the mirror though, so he doesn't have any reason to go back up the mountain. He's probably just going to start exploring the village of outcasts. Alright, so we're at the Hype Cave entrance, which is Skull Woods today. Does have the one item he can get out of here. He has the fire rod, but no sword yet, so he can't take on Moth. I'm gonna go ahead and get these 2 items out of Aghanim's tower. He can sequence break the second one with the fire rod pretty easy. Yeah, I do think that this chest despawns on getting a crystal, but I've never actually tried to defeat a dungeon with it active, so I don't 100% know. And Dracarys demonstrating why these guards are the worst because they run way faster than Link. It's so freaking annoying to deal with them. Gets the big key to Ganon's tower, which it's not something you necessarily want to see, but he does have access to full right side GT when he finds it, so that will allow him to not isolate the big.
And just a bloopy in the second chest in Aga Tower.
Alright, so it looks like we have the dumb setup of Skullwoods today, perhaps. P-Train just going for it. It's not a vanilla magic bat above Aghanim 2 today, but we don't obviously have the powder yet, so it's still something that would be on your mind. It is interesting though that we have the bow and the fire and a fire source and the big key. Dracarys ended up in desert since he has this small key now. So it's 2 items he can get here, and you can also check a couple of connectors.
Yep, finding another bottle in desert.
Alright, so right side desert is junk, and I expect he's going to check at least one connector here. Has the mirror, so makes diving connectors pretty palatable. Oh yeah, he's still got this other item to get as well. And this. Okay, so the front of Turtle Rock is in the back of Skullwoods, which is not obviously not obviously Paradox Cave. That was one of the options. I didn't see where Dracarys found that. So that means that P-Train unfortunately let himself out of Paradox Cave for now, but it looks like he's probably going back to the same area, so he should find it soon. Alright, Dracarys finding Ice Palace. I have a feeling he's not going to be in the mood to dive it. Well, the purple chest would still be there when he came out, so that's not really the issue. It's more about the fact that he doesn't have the hammer.
And purple chest was a small key to Turtle Rock.
Well, that could come in handy depending on if we can find Laser Bridge or not find Laser. Yeah, the chest would still be there if he went into Ice Palace and came back out, as long as he didn't defeat the boss, which he can't do anyway. So it wouldn't be a concern to lose the chest. Alright, so this may be where Dracarys found Paradox Cave, but I really didn't catch it. Yeah, there it is. So, incoming Mirror and Cane for P-Train. P-Train actually knowing where the front of Turtle Rock is, finding that cane may push him back there. Although, the mirror could also push him further south as well. Kind of have a couple different options that he could run. Dracarys, meanwhile, knowing that he had that access to Death Mountain, has now taken the mirror to check out a lot of entrances up here.
And today Tower of Hera has turned into a library with a single rupee, so they will not be going back there.
Oh, we got Hookshot Cave, but we don't have a hookshot, so not much incentive to go in there. Back a desert up on mountain as well, but we don't have any way of doing anything there. So P-Train, meanwhile, checking all these connectors as well that Dracarys did, so he may end up in Spectacle Rock pretty soon and end up with that desert small key from the exit of that. Looks like Dracarys has found the old man cave. This is kind of obnoxious to do without a sword, but he's capable of pulling it off. Okay, so P-Train actually not going to go for the Spectacle Rock thing, which is unfortunate because it would put him right in the same area that he just came from, but he doesn't know that, so he doesn't want to lose his spot, which is pretty understandable. Once he finds the other end of Spectacle Rock, I'm sure he'll go through it then, and find his way to Bumper Ledge.
Oh, and the old man having a heart container today? Oh, and blind set at Dark Sanctuary.
Yeah, I don't think Dracarys. But did he find that? And I just
I
didn't
don't believe
see.
he did.
Well, he's not missing much. And he doesn't have a shield, so I don't think he went in there yet. Looks like we're gonna go through Hookshot Cave since he's exhausted his entrances. Oh, this is interesting. Goes to the desert ledge
Oh,
with the first sword.
very nice.
Yeah, he can go after Mothula if he wants to. Has a lot of other things on the table, so he may not. I think at the moment it's kind of obnoxious for him to get to Mothula, so... Oh, hey, look, it's the old man. Old man saves right into Mire, so he was getting that sword regardless.
Oh, and Quake at Mire today.
And Spiral Cave inside of the front of Desert, so that's one of those things that can put you off your route. So he's... well, he does have the old man save and quit point, though, right there, so he's just going to go for this. So with that save point, that's pretty understandable. P-Train picked up the Smith and his Bombos medallion, and he will probably go south to do some of that mirror stuff from here.
Just 10 arrows in Spiral Cave today.
Alright, but we found our way to the floating island here, which means we can clear everything on East Death Mountain as well. Although, you're not going to be able to do it all in one go, so getting back up here is a bit of a crapshoot.
And Floating Island today had our last bottle.
So Dracarys hadn't actually seen any of this, but he can do the Light World stuff, which we haven't seen yet. And P-Train actually about to find the Light World connector, or the Light World bumper ledge via connector. Not gonna do him much good to get that Desert Palace small key, although obviously that doesn't lead to anything, so he could just never find that if he wants. So the typical thing to do when you have access to East Death Mountain and the Light World from the top is to drop down the middle, because there's 2 drops you can get there. He does have mitts, however, so and I think he found a way to Laser Bridge, or maybe that was P-Train. So I think it was P-Train actually. So he's just gonna take this and finds another one-way connector. So rip checking the rest of Death Mountain. It's not super hard to get back there, but I think he knows where the one bumper cave entrance is, or he could just go right through Spiral Cave again. But that is super obnoxious to be cut off. Or his other choice was to just isolate the hell out of that. Finds the top of Hyrule Castle though. It has the cape, so he can check both the entrances.
And Super Bunny Cave today had a small key to Castle Tower and the blue mail.
Looks like Sir Hostro is on top of the castle. Ice Palace is our green pendant, which is interesting. It's going to de-incentivize dipping it for Dracarys probably for a while. We don't know for sure Turtle Rock is a crystal, but it seems pretty likely you have to go in Ice Palace for that. Yeah, I would say it's a fair assessment that Dracarys has more exploration done overall. Dracarys getting his Thieves Town big key. Does have a sword, so he could full clear Thieves Town when he finds it. Although without the hammer, people tend to want to hold off on that if they can. Gonna go ahead and finish checking out the mire area since he has that save and quit point there, making it pretty easy. And yes, the Turtle Rock big key was in the first chest of ice. So once he finishes exploring everything in this mire area, he may go back through Spiral Cave to get back up on Death Mountain. And he would be able to check the Spiral Cave entrance. Since he has the mitts, he can check the bottom without doing the drop down in the middle. So he could drop down the left side and check that entrance. And gets the hint that he can find the red cane in the Paradox Cave. Super helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like he's going back up the mountain. Having to do this through Spiral Cave is kind of obnoxious, but his other option is to walk all the way from Sanctuary to Bumper Cave, which is obnoxious in its own way. So of the two options, this is probably the fastest one to get back up on the mountain. Well, there's actually 3 options to get on the mountain from what they know, but this is probably the one closest to a save point. Alright, P-Train has found Skull Woods, however, again, doesn't have a sword, so probably just grabbing this item, leaving, and taking the chest.
Yep, and I believe it was just 10 arrows.
And Dracarys doing as I said, going to check Spiral Cave entrance and then drop down and check everything on the bottom since he has the mitts. Does find Pod, though, has access to 5 items in here logically, so could be something interesting.
First
Yeah.
chest and pod just having 10 bombs.
Yeah, for chat, the spiral connector is not really a big thing. It's just, if you can believe it, their most convenient way to Death Mountain, which is kind of gross just saying, but that's kind of how it's shaking out. The other options are almost as far just to walk to the options, let alone go through them. All right, P-Train in Desert Palace. Checking connectors. Doesn't actually have the small key. Ooh, that is a great hint. Hook shots in Eastern Palace. Of course, we don't know where Eastern Palace is, but that is very nice knowledge. P-Train, though, just going to turn this chest in now that he's done a little exploration of desert. May also end up back on the mountain since he knows Hyrule Castle's here and that the other entrance of it goes to Death Mountain. the dark side. So I expect him to go through that. Yep, and go back to Death Mountain and start doing the exploration. And we found another Palace of Darkness key inside a Palace of Darkness. What are the odds? That means Dracarys can actually get 3 more items out of here, although all 3 of those items are out of logic until he finds 2 more keys. Oh, actually, since he can hammer up, can technically get 5 more items back here. Although the 2 that he gets from hammering upping would be out of logic until he has 6 keys. Although you don't tend to finish with 6 keys that much. P-Train, meanwhile, on the mountain, is discovering Hookshot Cave, back a desert, and I don't think there was anything super exciting up here. I assume he's probably okay at rescuing the old man without equipment as well. Alright, so the backup pod, not much so far. We'll see if there's anything in the dark maze here. Oh yeah, P-Train actually using Samaria to his advantage, which is definitely a strat you can use if you don't have a sword. And Dracarys unfortunately missing his hammering up there, so he's gonna have to start again. Meanwhile, P-Train has rescued the old man, so he will have all that mire access that Dracarys had already. So he should be getting a sword pretty shortly. He may go through Hookshot Cave as well first, just like Dracarys. I did not see what Dracarys got out of that bottom chest.
Yeah, neither did I.
Rupees, according to somebody, and we've got the red boomerang in there as well, so none of that's really helpful. For Palace of Darkness, the best thing we got was a hint that the hookshot is here in Eastern Palace, which we just found, so all in all, that hint not really saving a lot of time anyway. They were going to be able to full clear Eastern as soon as they found it. Alright, so P-Train doing the same, going through Hookshot Cave. It's the only real connector up here. Gonna get his sword by that way, and then saving quickly the old man probably, and realize he had another way of accessing it as well. So we also know where Hookshot Cave is, and it's right next to a spawn point. So Dracarys, once he gets done with East Death Mountain here, probably going to be checking Hookshot Cave pretty. P-Train, meanwhile, going actually back through Hookshot Cave, and I'm not sure what he's going for. Hera entrance, maybe? No, he would have already come out of, or should have already seen Hera entrance. I'm not really sure where he's chasing. He's going to the Dark World, but he already got this stuff on over here, so I'm not really sure what he's doing. And it looks like he realized that he already did all this. So I believe we are now to the point where Hookshot has to be in the next chest, since the hints tend to separate the boss from the dungeon.
Yep, the big chest just had 10 arrows, and the other chest had a shield and just rupees.
And there you go, as promised, we have a hook shot, which is technically a lamp lock, but who cares? That just means we won't find the lamp behind it. That's really all. That's really all we need to worry about. All right, fire rod making this a pretty marginally easy room to deal with these torches. P-Train getting his too little too late hint about the red cane. And then I think he saw Spiral Cave and didn't go through it, or did he not? Maybe he didn't. Gonna go through the back of Old Man's Cave here, though. Dracarys did not do that, although we have found a few dark caves already, so we may already know where this goes. Turns out we do not, but that'll save us some time later once we find the hammer. Alright, Eastern Palace is a crystal, first crystal of the match for Dracarys. P-Train, meanwhile, going back up the mountain by way of Bumper Cave, which is one of the 3 methods to get there today. This one actually comes out on the east side, so he's going to be able to be exploring much of what Dracarys is already exploring. He probably won't find Pod, but he will find the hook shot, though, in Eastern. And speaking of dungeons, we have Thieves Town here. Can full clear this also with the exception of the big chest, since we don't have the hammer, which is kind of annoying to isolate that chest. But I don't know, getting up here is not super easy at the moment, so they may just go for it.
And a map to Thief Town in Thieves Town.
They do still have the possibility of getting the hint about what's in the Thieves Town big chest to save them the trouble. Looks like P-Train is actually noping out of Super Bunny Cave for now. Oh, wow, that is like the most convenient hammer ever. So it turns out that they can full clear this dungeon completely.
And another small key to Pod in that 4th chest.
Alright, P-Train hot on Dracarys' heels. He hasn't been to Eastern yet, so they're just going to spend a little time in the same dungeon here. But we don't know if Thieves Town is a pendant or a crystal yet. I was gonna say P-Train's got the mirror out. Hopefully, well, no, he already got his hammer. I was gonna say hopefully he continues on, but the hammer is in the front, so he doesn't have any reason not to. All right, useless hint. Incidentally, this also means that Ice Palace is full clearable, even though it's the green pendant. Dracarys doesn't actually know it's the green pendant, though, I don't think. Or no, Dracarys does know. It's P-Train who doesn't know. P-Train also has the big key, so that may make him go. Yeah, we found some hospital already. Or Dracarys did anyway. Looks like the stun prize is 20 rupees, not that they need them. Oh, and the boots are in here too. Thieves Town, you are a real nice dungeon today. I mean, post-hour boots don't always feel too good, but better than post 2 hours. Yeah, the hammer is just sitting in Thieves Town. It's only not. So we got a few dungeons up here on the mountain, and they seem to be a little bit loaded. I know Dracarys will be excited that the hookshot was super available next to the boots because he does not hover and P-Train does. It was the third chest if we're really worried about it, but doesn't much matter. Fact is that it's just in Thieves Town, and they didn't have to leave anything behind. They didn't even have to leave behind that blue pendant that they were surely excited to see. Looks like Tower of Hare and Swamp Palace are our 5-6 crystals per the bomb shop owner. Oh, and there's Laser Bridge. This is actually a dungeon that P-Train could complete. Gotta say that East Death Mountain is kind of stacked today.
However, Laser Bridge just holding trash today.
Yeah, but interestingly enough, P-Train can get another pendant and or crystal here. Which will maybe tell us if the Dive Dice Palace was necessary. It's a convenient health refill. Okay, I was gonna say, is he not going for it? He's going for it. P-Train, what are you doing, man? You could totally full clear this, man. What are you doing? Oh, I guess he hadn't been in this entrance yet. I mean, it's not fighter sword Trinex because he has the hammers. I mean, you would be doing hammer oh, but GT's here. He'd be there. This is like the most ridiculous East Death Mountain ever. Like, so they can go. Well, Dracarys can full clear the basement. P-Train can go full right because he hasn't been into Eastern yet. Oddly enough, technically he could go left if he wants to do bomb jumps and stuff like that, but he would still be in logic anyway. Yeah. Now that you mention it, I didn't realize he had also not been to Eastern yet, so I'm assuming that he's going to check everything and then go back to Trinex.
Just 10 arrows in tile room.
Yeah, honestly, I expect your cars to go right and then mirror out and go left. And to be perfectly honest, P-Train, knowing the bomb jumps that he could do, will probably do the same, just without the... He has the boots, so the bomb setups are fairly easy. It looks like we got the big key to swamp, and a shovel, so a couple of ambiguous items. Alright, so P-Train is gonna go full right, interestingly enough. This is gonna waste a key for him, and he didn't technically need to do this if he wanted to sequence break the through the hook.
Oh, and flippers.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised as well. I'm sure that he knows the bomb jumps setups. Yeah, he could bonk to position and make easy bomb setups. Where's this another key to Turtle Rock? He may not have been thinking about the consequences of wasting a key there, although the odds of him not being able to find another one are pretty low. He's not going to be able to make it to Rando Room, though, I don't think, if he checks the Firebar Room.
Oh,
But does find a flute and a lamp. Well, it's less about logic and more about he could possibly lock himself out of Rando Room here. Yeah, the lamp actually putting our hook shot in logic. Although we still were lacking one small GT key for that to be in logic. So technically we haven't achieved logic yet, but we are closer.
oh, and the small key to Swamp Palace was in Rando Room.
And the fact that P-Train can hover, also making the decision not to go left instead of full right. Gets his flippers, and the Swamp Small was in Rando Room, I believe.
Yes,
so,
it was.
Yeah. Actually, I think he can get to Rando Room even if he opens the Firebar Room, but he won't be able to climb is the thing. Which actually is a thing that Dracarys could choose to do right now. We do know the magic bat's at the end of the road there, and they don't have the powder, but they could just go ahead and get it out of the way for later, maybe. Yes, they do have the same sword. We've only seen that sword and the one that's locked behind Lumberjack. So, which was one that we probably won't see ever again. Dracarys has the hook shot, so that makes him climbing not that weird. P-Train also can hover, so it doesn't make it too weird for him either, but I doubt he's going to climb when he hasn't checked all the entrances up here and knows he can kill the GT climb makes a little more sense for Dracarys because he's at the end of his rope up here anyway, just about. All right, so we have our swamp care package in hand. So that's a dungeon we can actually full clear at this point. I wouldn't be surprised to see somebody in there sooner. And we are climbing. This is pretty understandable. You're basically at the end of a road here. It's not super easy to get back to. Like, get this out of the way if you can. I understand this. They have 3 ways to get to Death Mountain, but all of them are a little obnoxious. Although he did just get the flute, so it's not less bad. P-Train, meanwhile, has found Eastern. Can full clear it actually in logic with that. Well, we're still, again, missing that GT small key, but whatever. Key logic is, it's whatever. But I expect him to probably kill Trinex after this, since he has that ability. And he has key locked himself out of the top of GT anyway. So there's 4 items up here that we can get, and there's a 5th item that we can set ourselves up to get later once we find the magic powder. So I would probably think that Drax's gonna go ahead and kill Aghanim too, just because climbing twice is really horrible. Doing a nice variety of strats to deal with this fighter sword climb that you don't normally have to. He's gonna have to save himself a little bit of magic for the upcoming rooms. So, but oh no, he's not actually gonna do it. Oh yeah, he's got a push. P-Train getting the promised hook shot. Oh, I don't think he's seen the hint for it, but we know there is. Dracarys pulling out his cane a little bit late and missing the quick kill there the first time. Gets it the second. P-Train almost to the Armos Knights and his first crystal of the match. Alright, that was a pretty nice gauntlet from Dracarys. Just about at the end of it here, and then you'll get to these 4 chests up here. Well, we find the Quake Medallion, which could get us into the Misery Mire entrance, so it could be relevant. Looks like P-Train is going to go for the Trinex kill now that he's cleared out this part of the mountain. Alright, so far the only thing of interest in the climb is Quake, and I think Dracarys will probably check that fairly quickly since it's right next to a spawn point to see whether that is something we... looks like it's also the entry for Turtle Rock, so that's actually a couple of entrances that he has access to now. Although Turtle Rock's a little obnoxious to get.
Been P-Train doing menu boss Trinex?
Yeah, it only has Fighter Sword, but if you have the hammer, this is I mean, it's the same strat you would use with Master Sword anyway, so. We don't have any hints as to what those entrances are just yet, so we'll have to see when Dracarys checks them. I'm sorry, what is this item go mode you speak of? I don't recognize this term. Alright, so Dracarys has opened the way for the magic bat for if he should ever find. We get a mushroom from Trinix and a crystal.
Very nice.
So P-Train taking the ever important and yet somehow arbitrary crystal and getting himself a fetch quest in the process. And oh yeah, he gets to check out this front here. He already knew where this was, but didn't get to check it earlier because he didn't have the cane. So this is 3 more items. Dracarys, meanwhile, doing a little mirror to the hobo there. He hadn't checked that yet, and he did get flippers recently. Ooh, there's the potion shop, speaking of the mushroom. I don't think either runner's really explored this area over here. I don't think they had a way to get over here before. Ganon's in the well. Ooh, we got a big key to Misery Mire. That seems potentially relevant. Well, I guess we picked up a big key to Skullwoods at some point that I didn't see. Doesn't pay out though. Alright, so P-Train, where are you going to go next? Oh, probably to activate your flute, that makes sense. Meanwhile, Palace of Darkness is a connector, but Dracarys is not going to go in it. Or I guess he hasn't checked Eastern yet? Oh no, he's doing Swamp first, that makes sense. I forgot this was where Swamp... This is a full clearable crystal, so it's pretty understandable.
Oh, and silver's in that first chest in Swamp.
Looks like we've got Mimic Cave. I think we saw this earlier, we just didn't have the hammer.
Yeah, we did see it earlier.
Alright, silver's the first chest in Swamp, so that's pretty nice. We've got a little bit before we see another chest. Meanwhile, P-Train is... Where's P-Train going? Oh, Hookshot Cave, right. He hasn't... Well, he knows... Well, maybe he forgot that the spawn point was right next to the old man. That was definitely not the fastest way to get. GT Climb gives you Quake and access to the Magic Bat should you ever find Powder. There's a key for P-Train, though, if he wants to climb now. Quake does open 2 entrances, so it could, in fact, be relevant. We will have to be. We will have to see whenever Dracarys gets around to the. Wait, he doesn't have the big key. How does he not have the big key? The big key was somewhere kind of early. I'm surprised he doesn't have it. Oh, Aga Tower. Okay, he never went back to Aga Tower. That's right. It's actually sitting right below Link's house, so there for the taking should he so desire. Alright, so far Swamp has been fairly uninteresting, although we still have a few items left. Ooh, big key to Hera on the left side of Swamp. That's going to be something we need. The Swamp entrance is in Eastern, and yes, they've both found the dam. They saw Eastern or Swamp earlier. They just weren't able to clear it until they got the items. Oh, P-Train's going to go ahead and kill Mothula. We have not determined whether this is a pendant or a crystal yet either. Pod key in the big chest of Swamp. So, Tower of Hera key, silvers, and pod small key are so far all we found. I expect that once Dracarys is done here in Swamp, he'll check this connector that's in Palace of Darkness as well. So that should that could go somewhere relevant. All right, so we have a hammer. We have green mail, which makes this fight a little terrible, but hammer makes it pretty easy if you hit him. If you can keep him away from the spike. All right, another crystal for P-Train. So that's 3 for him.
And half magic was on Mothula today.
So we're narrowing down our last pendant to either Mire or Desert, it looks like. Alright, P-Train is about to get the aforementioned GT Big Key. I doubt he'll be rushing right back to GT right now, though. Dracarys with Fighter's Sword having to do this sword spins on Argus Puffs here. For no mode, let's see here. That sounds correct. Although each runner needs more than that, obviously.
Oh, and it looks like there's a sword on Argus today. So very nice.
All right. And map check shows that we did. Oh, well, we already knew both of those. So
Yes.
we don't know that we need Mire just yet. It could be our other pendant. All right, so let's check this connector here. It's a pretty short connector. Oops, to Turtle Rock Laser Bridge. Or Turtle Rock Ledge. That's the last really relevant spot a connector could have taken. Gets a hint for what he already knew, and that hint may, I don't know, affect P-Train more than it does Dracarys, because P-Train has not climbed the Gannis Tower. That may push him to if he runs out of entrances. Got mini Moldworm Cave here in the other side of Turtle Rock Ledge, though, which is going to give us a small Ice Palace key, and that's about. Oh, P-Train being rewarded for holding out on going through the other side of Super Bunny Cave here, finds the other side that you can walk back out of. We've had some map checks. That's why we know some of what we do. We just don't have all the maps. The second sword was on Argus. Alright, so Dracarys is going to let us know if Quake is worth anything. We still have one other interest to check after this, if this is nothing, though. The mushroom not leading to anything for Peach. Alright, strike one for Quake. And it looks like Dracarys is going to take Spiral Cave right up the mountain to check Turtle Rock. There also exists a hint that Quake is upstairs GT that P-Train could potentially find if he runs out of entrances and starts to realize he may need it. We'll see in a second, though, if Quake is right.
Yeah, and Quake is... Yeah, oh, we already saw that.
Moment of truth. Is this going to be worth anything? P-Train actually is not too far away from getting that. Well, it's an item cave, so if this is the pod big key, that's really the only thing I think it could be. Well, I guess it could be powder if we want to fetch quests. Oh.
Oh, nope.
Oh, well, we don't know if that's a pendant or a crystal, but that could be pretty required. That would have been much better if it were like an entire dungeon instead of just an item. Just being one item, if that is needed, P-Train could be pretty far away from getting. Yeah, we don't know if it's Misery Mire or Desert, but I suspect we're going to find out very fast because Desert's right here. P-Train, meanwhile, has found the Palace of Darkness and going to do some clearing here, which I believe we discovered that Palace of Darkness was basically.
Yeah, there's a small key to Palace of Darkness in there, the red meringue, small key to Misery Mire, and shield.
If Desert is a crystal, this is really not good news for P-Train because just being one big key in that entrance means he will be going through a lot of stuff before he has any reason to climb G2. We're starting to run a little low on places Meyer could be, I think, though. Yeah, that is the Quake hint, but if it's just a big key instead of an entire dungeon, say, he's going to be a lot less likely to be chasing that. And it is a crystal, so that is 100% required. I think that is definitely bad news for P-Train. P-Train, meanwhile, gonna make his way through Swamp and get himself a few things that he needs out of here. So we are missing one Palace of Darkness big key for no mode. And yeah. That's still got a few places, pretty decent amount of places it could be though. Well, he should be able to access Misery Mire at this point, I think. So, eventually. I have a feeling, quite the feeling, that he will find Misery Mire before he finds the Desert Big Key. We don't have a huge amount of places left that Mire could even be, I don't think. I want to say the Pyramid Fairy is actually our best bet left for. Actually, I don't think we've seen the Dark Istrod Cave area either, so that's 3 more entrances that could also be Mire. We know it's not at Hammer Pegs. I don't think we've seen Hammer House either, which I think we're going to... Maybe we have. Dracarys is passing it. Oh yeah, we came out of Hammer House at some point, so we've seen that. So Dark Shopping Mall and Pyramid Fairy, I think, are remaining possibilities for Mire. I'm gonna vote Dark Shopping Mall just because we had it in a seed there earlier. Turtle Rock Big Key's in the first chest of Ice Palace, so not that hard of a grab. Although the pod Big Key, we don't know yet. It could be deeper in Ice Palace, or it could be in Misery Mire or something. Alright, P-Train getting his key to Hera. Meanwhile, Dracarys turning his key to Hera into a crystal by killing. All right, so P-Train is almost through Swamp. I think he's actually got everything relevant out of here except for the sword, which is on Argus. So we're really just looking for this pod big key to know what everybody needs to do. Dracarys is going up here with the mirror to do something. What's over here? Oh, Mimic Cave, right. I would expect P-Train to end up in Hera fairly quickly after this. His options are getting a little low. I think he'll probably end up checking the Dark Eye cave area. We're still missing a whole dungeon there, so that's kind of where I expect it to be. I mean, depending on where the pod big key is, I wouldn't be surprised if Dracarys found Misery Mire either. Dracarys checking the Skullwood's big chest, which is not worth... Oh, and actually, I don't think he even checked most of the middle of Skullwoods here either. Alright, P-Train has Argus down, gonna get rewarded with a Master Sword. We'll see what's on his mind after. You either have to use Fighter Sword spins or do the hammer menuing. Depending on how fast you menu, it's kind of arguable which one's really the best. Spins are faster if you do it right, obviously. P-Train has cleared the entire basement, save the big chest. Yeah, the only something we would even that could possibly be relevant at this point being the pod big key or the book leading to a test. Did P-Train do a map check that we missed?
Yeah, he did do a map check quick.
Well, all right. Well, he's got his crystal knowledge. Don't think that'll save him from a mire dive. Dracarys getting his big key to mire. Speaking of. Alright, P-Train, meanwhile, taking that big Hera key straight to Hera. And then I feel like he's going to be running a little low on good options, so he will probably check the Dark Eye Start area. I think Mire isn't the worst play for anybody at this point. I mean, Ice Palace obviously is a good play for Dracarys as well. The pod big key could just be further in Ice Palace too. You could just ignore Mire in this seed potentially. Depends on where that is, of course. P-Train accidentally taking a fall there. I don't think he forgot he had a sword, but it's not a good sword for this fight, so he's not using it. Dracarys does know where Ice Palace is, and it's actually very easy to get to, versus not actually knowing for sure where Meyer is. So he could end up in Ice Palace. Well, I guess nobody checked King's Tomb either, so that's another possibility for Meyer. Nope. Back to our other option. Looks like Dracarys might check the Ice Palace entrance, which I think... No, we already came out of the Ice Palace entrance, and I think he did as well. Gonna check Turtle Rock Big Chest, or Turtle Rock Interior, maybe? Because I don't think he did this earlier. Oh no, P-Train. I'm looking at P-Train's screen, sorry. I know who's who. P-Train never went to Zora, so he's going to Zora. Dracarys, meanwhile, is doing Catfish and the Dark Witch's Hut, which I don't think we've seen. And then probably the Dark Ice Rod area. Alright, P-Train is going... I think P-Train could be going to the Dark Ice Rod area. Possibly also Catfish and Dark Witch. Alright, incoming Catfish check. Oh, just kidding. There's another entrance, so I guess we hadn't checked. P-Train knows this is a pendant, but I wouldn't be very surprised to see him dip it right now. Yeah, here he goes. He's gonna full. Could get a pod big key out of it, which is probably bad news for him over. He's running a little low on options, so I don't know that he would skip video at this point. Oh, there's the... Oh, this was another big key, actually.
Yes.
Ooh, this is probably the pod big key. Uh-oh.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. I forgot that big key was there. So that's no mode for us. Where was this entrance at? Oh, Dark Ice Rod area, actually. Okay, yeah. Totally forgot that key was there. I feel like Dracarys will end up in Ice Palace first because it's just easier to get to, but we'll see. Ice Palace has been known to put people...
There's Spike Cave. And Spike Cave having our last small key to pod.
Well, got a big key now too, so Dracarys probably going to full clear the last items out of there before he does anything else. Oh, he's got Skullwoods as well, though. Alright, P-Train is going to Vitreous, which is understandable because as far as he knows, his options are getting a little bit low. Not gonna find what he's looking for here, though. Dracarys coming into the Maltula fight slightly better equipped with Master Sword, but still on green mail, I think, maybe? Or is he? I don't...
No, I believe he has some. I believe they both have the red mail.
Oh, okay. His sprite doesn't change, so I get confused.
I think it shows it's in the wings. They're red now.
I'm glad you can see that, because I
Yes.
can't.
No, I've seen the sprite get red mail before.
Some of the mail upgrade are a little too subtle on some of the sprite.
Yes, I agree.
Alright, P-Train has a very easy time with Vitreous with the silver arrows and going to get a very useless pendant for his trouble. Dracarys is actually about to find Misery Mire. I mean, he may do this since it's here. Yeah, okay, he's going to go ahead and full clear this before going to Ice Palace. I mean, Ice Palace is easy to get to, but it is an obnoxious dip that people do try to avoid, so... I still don't think that's going to really save P-Train that much, though. Dracarys does have full crystal knowledge, he just doesn't know where the Turtle Rock big key is. Yeah, he will, because that's his go mode, so he won't have any reason to go any further. P-Train, meanwhile, speaking of Ice Palace, is gonna go further. 7 more items he can get in here. Well, we know the big chest is nothing. So 6 more items he could get in here. Versus, yeah, I mean, versus going upstairs GT is understandable. Yeah, Dracarys doesn't actually know that this isn't his, or that this is a pendant, so he's actually gaining knowledge here. That's a good. I mean, the double dip into Myers not too terrible, so it's possible he just dives right back in. Doesn't have to do left. P-Train, unfortunately, getting the bomb jump and then taking a fall, so now he's just going to hover over. And nicely done. He even took the long way. And Dracarys is going to dive right back into Misery Mire to get these last few items. It's not too bad of a dive, so he's only missing the 1 item. So isolating stuff at this point is not a great idea.
Oh, and there's the powder in Ice Palace.
Well, the powder could prompt P-Train to do a climb of GT, but
Oh, and the book. So 2 fetch quest items.
P-Train still quite likely to go to the Misery or the Dark Ice Rod area before he climbs GT, though, which will put him back in pod to finish that up. Meanwhile, Dracarys is a quick flute away from going to Ice Palace to get his go mode, and his options are actually getting very low as well at this point. Well, he's gonna go to pod first, I would assume, but yeah. I think Dracarys is going to check the shovel for us first. Alright, yeah, I think Dracarys is going to spiral, or to pod right now to finish it up. Hoping to find the Turtle Rock big key in his path. He will not, but again, Ice Palace is a quick flute away, so I really don't expect it to be put off for that.
Oh, and P-Train just found Ether in Ice Palace.
Alright, so P-Train has 2 options. He could go to Dark Ice Rod area, and then he could go do the GT climb. I think those are really the biggest things left to him. He needs to do both, actually, so just kind of a matter of what he does first. So P-Train having a nice quick, even though unnecessary, cold stare. Dracarys doing the understandable thing and rushing straight towards the boss when you're only one item from go mode. Could save you time if you do that. One of the swords is behind the lumberjack, defeating, which means you have to defeat Aga 1. And the fourth one we have yet to determine. Alright, P-Train is gonna check Bombo's tablet, it looks like. Meanwhile, Dracarys almost a Helmosaur. Should be a pretty easy fight. Hammer the mask off, and then he's got a silver arrow. Speaking of arrows, there's the single arrow for P-Train's trouble of checking the Bombo's tablets. Now, where shall he go? Ooh. Oh, he's checking Ether. No, he's not. He's not. He's checking... What is he checking? He came out of Ice Palace earlier, so I don't see why he would be checking that. Oh, he's checking this connector. Oh, he's going to hover to the pod big key, actually. Oh, right. I
Very
forgot
nice.
he could... Okay, so he's going to get to the Dark Eye Shard here, a little bit unorthodox. But, yep, that's going to send him to pod, though. He will be right next to GT after that, though, so I wouldn't be very unsurprised to see him climb after he does pod.
And Dracarys just got his 6th crystal, but still on the hunt for that big key to Turtle Rock.
Yeah, I don't really expect him to be too far from finding it, though. He's low on options. Ice Palace is the biggest thing he has left.
Oh, and he found Tempered.
I wouldn't call that a limited time save because you didn't have to swim all the way to Ice Rod Cave area, so that's not overall a bad time save for him. Oh, looks like we finally found the 4th sword there, yeah.
Yeah, I believe it was in the big key chest in pod. Because he just found it.
Yeah, that's a terrible spot for that.
Mhm.
Alright, P-Train gonna check Ether into pod, I would assume, and then probably climb GT after. Hopefully he just climbs instead of going to the big chest, and then checks Quake after that. Meanwhile, Dracarys is almost done clearing out Palace of Darkness, and probably gonna go to Ice Palace here pretty. And in case he wasn't thinking of Ice Palace, there's a small key to Ice Palace to tell him, hey, go to Ice Palace. But first he's going to check the Pyramid Fairy, interestingly enough. I mean, I guess he's never going to be that much closer to this, so not a bad option. I don't know if I'd do this over Ice Palace, but it was right. P-Train trying a slightly fancier hover. Doesn't quite make it, though. I've really only ever seen 3 people pull that one off.
Yeah, that seems to be one of the more difficult hovers. And this is where the third sword was?
Alright, so what's in the Pyramid Fairy today? Nothing we need, obviously, but it is a super boring house. Alright, so if Dracarys doesn't go to Ice Palace here right now, I'll be a little confused because I don't think he has anything good. And there it is. So Dracarys is about a minute from being in go mode. Maybe not even quite that.
And he's probably going to nope out as soon as he does get that big key.
Would only make sense because that will be his go mode.
Yeah, whereas P-Train full cleared.
I mean, I guess if he's feeling really into Ice Palace, he could keep going, but
probably not since he avoided
won't
it.
do much good.
No. And we will see. Yep, he's gone.
P-Train, meanwhile, has cleared most of the pod out. Well, no, he's cleared out. He's got some stuff left in the back, I think. Going on his way to Helmasaur. I still expect him to climb after this, but it's going to be a little too late. Dracarys, meanwhile, just needs to kill Trinex and then move on to Ganon, and he can be done for the night. All right, so P-Train almost to Helmasaur. Had a nice turtle room there. It's pretty. Both of these runners are pretty equipped for their fights. Drac doing the little backdoor strats there to zero cycle Trinex. Don't think he quite made it there, but still fairly quick. All right, simultaneous crystals for P-Train and Dracarys. However, that is Dracarys' last crystal versus P-Train's 6th crystal. And P-Train is still a little bit off from getting that last crystal. Alright, Dracarys on Ganon, and we get a few cheese facts. Let's see if Dracarys gets the 1-1 here. Looks like we got the first phase. Has the cape, so he'll be able to do some spins for the second phase.
Oh, and P-Train having some trouble on that bridge.
Alright. On to phase 3. Phase 2 is really the grossest phase of the fight. Everything else is pretty okay to deal with. P-Train, meanwhile, has just a couple of items left here in pod. Dracarys on to phase 4. Just 4 silver arrows away from Ganon's demise. Was that a triple? It was like indeed. Wait, get your GGs in chat for Dracarys. finishing in first place. He will move on to the next round of the winner's bracket. You can get a quad with the gold sword if you have a really ridiculously dangerous setup, but it's not worth going for most of the time. It's a really ridiculous strat that it's just dumb to try at all. It's very easy to knock yourself off the edge doing it if you attempt. But you have to poke Ganon with the gold sword. You can't slash. P-Train is actually going for the pedestal before he goes for the Ganon climb, which is interesting because he was never going to be closer than for that Ganon climb.
Oh, and doing a blind ped pull.
It's the only way.
Mm-hmm. And getting a small key to Turtle Rock.
Oh, hey, guess what? This is actually a ped seed. You just didn't have to do it. Looks like he may be giving up on us here for the which is understandable. He's still got like GT climb and
he did just forfeit.
GG's P-Train. This was not a easy one to get the or to avoid the traps on. Let's see if we can get these guys in here. I'm sure he has a pretty good idea of where the what he needs to do at this point. Just doesn't want to do it, which is very understandable.
Oh, and there's Dracarys. Let me bring him in. GG Dracarys.
GG. So I'll ask you a question that you probably know the answer to. If you had to guess, what held your opponent up?
I have no idea.
Well, there's this Quake medallion.
Oh, the Desert Big Key, of course.
Yeah. P-Train unfortunately did not have the big key to Ganon's Tower when he entered Ganon's Tower, so climbing was not an option for him at the time. Which I think at the time it was probably the best time for the climb, given that you were basically at the end of a route there. So did not get that Quake and did a lot of clearing things that you didn't necessarily have to do.
Oh, we're also joined by P-Train. GG's P-Train.
GG.
GG.
We were just discussing. You may have probably already guessed by now what you have to do, which
it's
is
either going to
climb.
be the big chest or the climb.
It is the climb, but it's not for the big key. It is for Quake, because the desert big key is in Turtle Rock.
Oh, wow.
Thanks for letting us know before we stopped here that the PED is logically required.
You're very welcome. I knew when I got the pod small key, I was like, all 4 Turtle Rock keys, I believe, are required for this. So, yeah, I thought that was interesting. Also, I thought it was weird that Sahasrara had a small key to Ice Palace, which I guess means Kain was logically required for Ice Palace.
Yep, that is the thing. If you have the Kain and 1 small key, the other one is not required to defeat the boss. It's a interesting seed, though. The desert big key is probably the biggest trap of the seed, although there was a couple there. Swords were not super friendly.
Yep,
No, the swords were a total tease at the beginning of the seed. There was one on Lumberjack and then one on Desert Ledge. Desert Ledge ended up being the first one, but it took a while before I was able to actually get to it.
Yeah, I think you guys both did about everything about the same, except for well, at least for the up to the mid game. But then Dracarys had obtained the GT big key before he went into GT, and it was kind of at the end of a route, so climbing it then made pretty good sense, because it was basically that whole side of the mountain was already cleared off. So just do that last. He also didn't have the Turtle Rock big key, so it made extra sense for him to climb versus Trinex, obviously. So
yeah, I felt really good about my mid game. Getting mirror when I did, getting hits when I did, felt pretty good. I felt a little bit behind whenever I saw that Desert connected to Death Mountain, because it took me a while to find that. But then again, though, there was like absolutely nothing on the mountain. All of it was on East Death Mountain. It was like hammer, hookshot, tons of stuff.
Yeah, that East Death Mountain was a little ridiculous. Dungeon Central, and the dungeons had a lot of good stuff in them.
And then there were some fetch quests in Ice Palace, which you got P-Train, which Dracarys was able to avoid because he went to Ice Palace last and was able to get that big key to Turtle Rock and then just head straight out.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I felt really good about the mid game, but I could definitely tell like the end game was getting away from me. When you're looking for one or two items and you just dive to useless pendant dungeons, it never feels good at that point.
No. So what do you both think of the seed overall?
It was really nice to route because of early Dark Gold access, early mids, early mirror. It was really nice for me, at least.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I was a little salty about the GT Big Key because I found that was like my almost next check after diving GT. But other than that, yeah, I completely agree. There were some really nice connectors in the seed.
So, Dracarys will be moving on to the next round of the winner's bracket to face some guy named Goomba. I'm sure it sounds vaguely familiar. He's been around a little bit. And P-Train, you will be moving down to the lower brackets. Your opponent is still a few races away from being determined, but it will be one of four people: Andy, Illis, 1UP, or Banta.
Yeah, and I'm sure all those are going to be super easy matchups too.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not out of it just yet, although you are on a little bit of pause while we get all those matches sorted, those next three matches sorted out. But how do you feel about the tournament?
I mean, I feel like it's been a pretty good tournament. I actually have terrible tournament luck. The past few tournaments I either get put into like really hard groups or I just throw matches away. This has actually been a pretty consistent tournament for me. This being the hardest matchup I've had at the tournament yet, of course. But I mean, I feel like I played well. I mean, unfortunately, cross keys, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. If Desert Big Key is on the pedestal, then, this seed plays out differently. But unfortunately, the decisions I made weren't correct for the seed. But all in all, maybe if I got the GT Big Key a little earlier, that would have been nicer. But I'm pretty happy with my performance this race. I'm pretty happy with my performance throughout the tournament, honestly. I've enjoyed it a lot.
Dracarys, are you looking forward to your next round match?
Oh, it's gonna be a disaster. Whenever I race Goomba, one of us just god routes and the other one last locations, and somebody wins by 20 minutes.
Well, it should be an interesting one to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So stay tuned.
Chat brings up a good point. We're moving on. Winner semis are going to be best of 3. So, Drac, does that change? I'm just curious. Does that change how you approach that matchup, or is that just? I'm I'll be honest, I have not been a part of a tournament with the best of three, so I'm just kind of curious.
Not really. I'm just gonna play as I always play. But if I lose the first match, I'll probably take more risks in the second one. But we'll see.
Alright.
Well,
Go ahead, Rizzy.
I was just gonna say, I think that's all the entrance tournament for today. We have a couple matches tomorrow. One of them, I believe, being the aforementioned Andy and Illis match.
That's
So,
at 3:30 Eastern. And then at 8 o'clock Eastern, we have Wolfie and GFE.
It's another winners bracket match, I believe. So that could be a fun one. Lots of good matches still to come. Thanks to our trackers, by the way, Sammy and Bleeding
Blue.
Bleeding Blue. I think I was about to say, did I get that right or did I reverse that? Make sure you follow our runners P Train and Dracarys. They put on a pretty good race. Thanks to Ornato for co-calming and Cubs Rule for restreaming.
So we are done with the cross keys for tonight, but we do have another tournament that just started this week, Zelda 2 Standard Rando. So we're going to send everybody over there with the raid. My thanks as well to Resi, to Nato, Drac, P-Train, Samimas, and Bleeding Blue. We'll hopefully see you back here tomorrow at 3:30 for Illis and Andy. Thank you very much, all. Have a good night.
Night, everyone.